For the final time in this month of February, welcome you to Oklahoma Sports Scene presented by Jimmy's A. Another famous Jimmy's with us today, my friend Jimmy Trammell. Tulsa World. Jimmy, good to have you with us, my friend.
Thank you.
Jimmy's filling in for our regular co-host, of course, Gil Cloud, recovering from his knee replacement surgery. J.B. Haney still on the rehab list with his hip replacements. You're doing good, though, right?
I've had eye surgery, but I'm here with you. I'm good.
Give us some of your background, Jimmy. I know a long time figuring this Tulsa sports scene.
Joined the Tulsa World in 1989, fresh out of the Prior Daily Times, hired by Mr. Connors, our local legend, sports writing legend.
Yeah.
Was in sports for 25 years at the Tulsa World, and in 2014 I became an entertainment, pop culture writer. Nerdy stuff is what we're talking about now. So, really glad to have been there for that long. I think I'm one of the older folks now, which makes me feel, not so great, but I do appreciate my time there.
Tell us about the transformation from sports. I think one thing you mentioned right away is, hey, you find what a weekend is.
But I know what a Saturday was. Because if you work in sports, from August until March, your Saturdays, you're in Ames, Iowa, or you're in Manhattan, Kansas. But working entertainment is more so a 9 to 5 Monday, Friday job, unless somebody's at the BOK like Elton John, and then you go watch Elton John. But Chris, it's the same. It's people. I would tell people when I was in sports that players and coaches are boring, but people are interesting. And I don't mean that in a negative way about players and coaches. I just mean that you make these people into human beings, and that's the interesting part about sports. And it's the same with any other kind of, whether it's entertainment or anybody else. It's the fact that they're people that makes them interesting.
Yeah, Jimmy's a Locust Grove High School graduate, and very proud to say, and this is amazing, I was very impressed with this, magna cum laude, Northeastern State University.
I don't know what that means, but I'll take it.
That sounds very impressive. Also, not only just writing, of course, for the Tulsa World, but also an author as well, and a couple of his books that I'm very familiar with. Oklahoma State, that great season. Talk about this one you wrote with Pat Jones on the Cowboys' magical season. 2007,
a book company called me and said, gee, we want a book about Oklahoma State. Do you want to do a book about Eddie Sutton, or a book with Pat, with a football coach?
Yeah, right.
And Pat being here in town and being such a great personality, that was a natural to do with Pat. But at the time I thought Eddie would do a book, and he had never done a book. So. But we are getting, I guess, a documentary about Eddie. So
working on that, and keeping our fingers crossed. Surely, Jimmy, this will be the year they put him finally into the National Basketball Hall of Fame.
What a tragedy!
Ridiculous.
There's no reason for Eddie Sutton not to be in the Hall of Fame.
What? 4 coaches, over 800 victories in his career.
It seems, from the outside looking in, Chris, it seems personal for some reason.
It is something about it. Here's the other book, and you can't go wrong when you have a book about the king, of course, Barry Switzer. This is a great book. I have this and really enjoy it.
Thank you. Wrote this one for the Tulsa World. The Tulsa World decided to get into the book business, and the thought was, gee, who can we write about that would be so compelling statewide that people would buy the book? And granted, Switzer wrote a great book, Bootlegger's Boy.
Right, exactly.
Around the time of 89, 90. So only a fool would come in and try to write another book about Switzer, but I did anyway. And hopefully we got some fresh take, and maybe people enjoyed this. A book had not been written about Switzer since he left the Cowboys. So maybe we have some crossover that's not in the other book.
Well, called Switzer, the Player's Coach, and this still is available for the Tulsa World?
From the Tulsa World, that's correct.
And I guess for Pat Jones' book, got to go online?
You got to go to Amazon. It's out of print.
Very good. Excellent. Let's talk about our lineup now coming up, Jim. We've got a lot of guests here, and a couple from the other side of the state, in fact. Starting with Mike James. He's the president of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. He'll introduce you to the class of 2019, and it is very impressive. Also, John Bargfeldt, the Tulsa softball coach, just won his 500th career game, winning a softball coach in TU history. Rogers State University. You're the one trimming out of this story. The first university program with an esports program. Jimmy, tell us about that.
Yeah, for people who don't know what esports is, it's video gaming. Now colleges have video game teams where you actually play and compete in video games against kids from other colleges. And so we're headed to a point where you may have scholarships.
Another Oklahoma City visitor coming up here, Dale Dave, the announcer and director of communications at Remington Park. They're about to start their quarter horse paint and Appaloosa meet on March the 8th. He'll be here to preview the entire meet for you and talk about some of the key horsemen that will be taking part in what is known around the country as the world's best quarter horse meet. Incredible amount of purse money, great racing. So all March 8th, and he'll be here to tell us all about it. Well, let's talk about some of the hot topics. I guess we can start with the hottest one, just being the other day in Stillwater. How about that? They finally packed Gallagher, but not for basketball.
Right, for wrestling against Iowa.
Yeah.
But how neat it is to see that building
isn't that
full.
fabulous?
So much history with old Gallagher Hall and Gallagher Arena. It seems natural when that joint is rocking, and it was rocking for that.
It was 13,811 fans are jammed into the Gallagher Arena to watch number 2 Oklahoma State defeat number 3 Iowa 27-12. By the way, these two schools, the Cowboys and the Hawkeyes, have combined for 57 National College Wrestling Championships. 34 of those belong to the Cowboys. 225 individual NCAA champions, 880 All-Americans, and a bunch of Olympians, too. Incredible history.
Yeah, and I'd like to see that place rock, not just that place, but also maybe Center, Reynolds Center, Lloyd Noble, get back to what it is in basketball. But I don't know how to get those crowds back, and I'm sure the marketing promotions people don't either, or they would be doing those things.
Well, let's hope we get some people rocking the BOK. We have some major championship events coming to BOK. The Big 12 Wrestling Tournament is coming up to BOK. That's March the 9th and the 10th. And then we have NCAA first and second round basketball coming here March 22nd and 24th, Jimmy.
Who do you want to see? Which schools do you want to see come here?
We got to get a Kansas here or a Kansas State, somebody with some regional tie. Hopefully Houston will be here, Kelvin Sampson.
Iowa State fans travel big too.
They travel well too.
You could play in bug tussle, and the Iowa State fans are showing up and staying for 3 days and spending money at the food places. But you said, who else did you say you wanted?
I'd love to have, I mean, I mentioned Houston, the Cougars, of course, with Kelvin Sampson. They're playing great basketball.
That's one of the teams that has been projected as coming to Tulsa.
Coming here. Texas Tech, after what they did to Kansas the other night, they're possible too. But Iowa State, you mentioned, they'd be a much better travel team for us.
We forget Sean Sutton is on the Texas Tech bench.
That's right.
That'd be a huge draw for the Sutton fraternity in this state. They play defense. They will get after your rear end.
And they're projecting that our summer league champion, likely to be South Dakota State, that they may be here too for the tournament. But hopefully people will get in support. They're saying that the goal is to get 15,000 in the BOK to support the NCAA first and second round. And believe me, it's not coming back unless you get out and support it.
The last time they were here, Rob Lowe showed up, so you never know who's going to show up.
And we had some pretty decent crowds. We had in 2011, 14,274 was the average, Jimmy. And 2017, just 2 years ago, 14,528. So Tulsa supported it pretty well.
Yeah, I think if you have a big time event, Tulsa's shown that they'll do it, like the major golf.
Right. Yeah. No question. Well, if you wonder why the attendance is down for OU and OSU and TU and Oral Roberts in basketball and Arkansas as well, only go up the highway. The Oklahoma City Thunder is tough to compete with, Jimmy.
Yeah, they've really united the state in a way I never thought would happen. I've got aunts and uncles who could have cared less about the NBA, didn't know a player's name 10 years ago, and now they're thundered up and watching every game. And it doesn't matter if you're a Golden Hurricane or a Golden Eagle or a Sooner or a Cowboy, you're all thundered up.
And they're 38-21 heading into this week. They're at Denver, and then they'll come back February 28th. They'll be hosting the Philadelphia 76ers, a team they always beat. March 2nd, they're at San Antonio, then back home March 3rd at Oklahoma City to host the Memphis Grizzlies. Then 4 straight road games, but there's 23 games left in the season, and they're right now 3rd in that Western Conference.
Do you give Paul George a sniff of winning the MVP?
What an incredible season he's had. Been averaging almost 40 a game this past month of February, so he's been fantastic. You know, another group that's looking for the playoffs and may have a chance to make it for the first time in a long time, our Tulsa Oilers hockey team right here too, Jimmy.
Yeah. Tulsa, hockey territory. Why? What's your best theory?
And it has a great history, a 90-year history of hockey in this city. I think a lot of it, they have some really good teams back in the days. They got a really good, solid core of fans that really support them and stuff. And it's just great to be down to the BOK. Great facility now. The record now is 31-20-6. They have 68 points. They are right now 3rd in the Mountain Division. And I was talking to Don Peterson, their media guy, earlier today. 15 games left in the regular season, Jimmy. They're just 2 points out of a chance to get to the top of the division. And their magic number, I guess you'd say, is 14. 7 Oiler wins or 7 losses by Rapid City. And the Oilers are back in the playoffs.
Just amazing their longevity here in this town.
Oh, my gosh. It really is incredible. And by the way, outstanding player Adam Puskich is the first one to get to 30 goals in the ECHL this year and leads the Oilers with 60 points so far. Well, stay with us. Our Oklahoma City guests are coming in. And the first one is going to be Mike James, the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame president. He'll be talking about the incredible class for 2019. You'll be impressed.
Welcome to Jimmy's Egg. Come on in.
For more than 30 years, Jimmy's Egg has been starting people's day off right with hot, fresh, made-to-order food. Our eggs are fresh, cracked to order every time, and and there are over 40,000 ways to craft your own omelet. With signature favorites like our meat lovers skillet or decadent cinnamon roll pancakes, it won't leave hungry. Breakfast and lunch is available every day from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. So stop in today and let our friendly staff serve you.
Stop by and see us sometime.
Every minute, every day, and every night, there's someone who needs us. Every week and every year, we bring something new to the way we care for individuals and our communities. Every thought and every action is spent improving the way we imagine health and wellness. Because every child, every woman, and every man deserves the best possible life. St. Francis Health System. Healthcare for life.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
And welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Jimmy Zay. Great friend of ours here from Oklahoma City to visit with us, Mike James. He is the president of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Mike, great to have you make the trip.
Chris, thank you. Jimmy, thank you.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. And we just came from a luncheon, in fact, back on the 19th of this month, where we had our leadership luncheon,
yes,
where they proudly announced the class of 2019, and what an impressive class it is of inductees for the Hall of Fame.
It is. You know, to think about, Mick Cornett made a comment, Chris, at the luncheon, you'll recall. He said back when he started this in 1986, people were asking him, are there going to be enough people that we can fill this Hall of Fame with? And today,
yeah,
gosh, we could put in a couple dozen a year and still never catch up. Oklahoma's produced that many good athletes.
Isn't that amazing, Jimmy? As small as this state of Oklahoma is, the type of athletes it's produced.
Yeah, there's no per capita study, but it seems like the odds are really in Oklahoma's favor. Now, I know people always say, why isn't so-and-so in? Well, you can't put in everybody in 1 year, or there wouldn't be anybody left to do the next year. I know you have to ration it out from year to year almost.
And it's hard, Jimmy. You know, you bring up a great point. Everybody that's on the nominations list you look at today, and you can argue their case, why they should be in. And to your point, you have to draw the line. You know, the one thing that would be nice is if we could kind of get caught up in a way, but it would sure make for a long night, and it would probably water down everybody that's there. That, you know, the folks that are going in. But the neat thing about it, to your point, you talked about a per capita thing. Years ago, I've shared this with Chris. Years ago, one of the founders of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, Lynn Draper, did a study, if you will, and what he had found is he'd talked to other halls of fame across the country, and what Lynn had found is that there are more people related or associated with Oklahoma sports that are recognized in major halls of fame than any other state. Now that's every Hall of Fame. So if you're thinking about rodeo to basketball, every major Hall of Fame, more people associated with Oklahoma than any other state. And you talk about a young state that we are.
Sure.
That's pretty amazing.
Talk about the criteria. How do you become eligible for the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame?
You know, it's real simple to be eligible. Number one of two things. You have to either have been born in Oklahoma and have made a significant contribution to sports, or you could be from anywhere else in the United States or anywhere else in the world, but your contribution to sports has been in Oklahoma. And I could give you a couple of examples. You know, for an example, you look at Mickey Mantle, born in Commerce, contribution to sports really outside of Oklahoma, but he's from Oklahoma. Now on the flip side of that, you look at Bart Conner. Bart Conner's from Illinois, but his contribution to sports has really been all Oklahoma at OU, and now with he and Nadia's Gymnastics Academy in Norman.
So let's say a guy like, I can't think of the golfer's name, but there was a golfer who was born in Oklahoma, moved out when he was a baby. So essentially that would exclude him from being part of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. And I hate to get caught up in certain names. Let's forget the question and go to a better question. How about that? That was a bad question. How do we feel about this class? that you're putting in?
You know, the one thing that we strive for every year, fellas, is diversity. Not just diversity in gender, but diversity in sports. And boy, do we have it this year. We had it last year.
Yeah.
We have it this year. You know, if you look at the class going in, you have Kendall Cross from wrestling and Patty Gasso, women's softball, Bob Stoops, football, Mike Moore, baseball out of Oral Roberts,
right, yeah.
Mickey Tettleton, baseball, and then Will Shields in football. So it's a good diverse group, both gender and sport.
Let's talk about them one by one here, and we'll take a look at them as well. Kendall Cross, wrestling, Mustang High School, 1985 state champion. Then OSU, three-time All-American, NCAA champion of '89, three-time U.S. national champion, two-time Olympian. I'd say he qualifies all of them.
And a gold medalist,
yeah.
That's
right, gold medalist in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And he was at the luncheon. Did a great job, too.
Yeah, we had 6 of the 7 at the luncheon, which was great. We had, as you mentioned, Chris, we had the luncheon last Tuesday, and where we introduced the class. We had 6 of the 7. Unfortunately, Coach Henson's health prohibited him from traveling, but he and his wife are determined to be there in August at the banquet.
But that might have made a real impact, and it still is, Jimmy, Patty Gasso, the outstanding softball coach at OU. My gosh, what a job she's done there.
She's done wonderful. And, you know, it's funny that you talk about, for an example, Patty Gasso is from Long Beach, California.
Right.
But she says, you know, her and Coach Stoops both said, we're Okies.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and their incredible contribution to sports, not taking anything away from what they've done outside of Oklahoma. But if you look at their contribution to sport in Oklahoma, it's strong.
She's, of course, the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooner softball team for 24 seasons. That's hard to believe. 11 Big 12 titles, 4 national championships. She's reached the College World Series 12 times, gone to the postseason all 24 years at OU, and off to a great season this year. Lou Henson, they've worked a long time to try to get Lou in this Basketball Hall of Fame. Another guy who was born in the state and left the state to make his name, but born in, and where is this? Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah. You know, something interesting about Lou Henson that I was not aware of. Coach Henson, to the best of my knowledge, and I'll leave this up for our historians out there, but it's my understanding that Coach Henson is the only basketball coach in Division I basketball that has 2 courts named after him. The Illinois basketball court's called Lou Henson Court,
right,
and New Mexico State's called Lou Henson Court.
There you go. Didn't realize that. Guy, you might have been familiar with Jimmy and covered you're doing sports for the Tulsa World. Mike Moore pitching for the Golden Eagles back in '79 to '81.
Shows that you don't have to be from a giant town to have success. I mean, hydroically, you've got a hyphen in your name, and you're a town's name, and you're still going to do great things.
Yeah. And Mike Moore, the only Major League Baseball player out of Oklahoma taken #1 in the draft.
Wow.
Back in the day.
Pitched for Oakland, won 2 of their A's 4 games in the World Series to beat San Francisco in 1989. Will Shields, and my gosh, what a career he had starting at Lawton High School in Oklahoma. How did he get away from Oklahoma and Oklahoma State to get to Nebraska?
I was hoping somebody would have asked that question.
I have the answer if you don't.
Yeah, I don't have it.
It was about the time both were going on probation at the same time when he was coming out of high school.
Yeah.
So he was looking for a greener pasture where maybe he could go to a bowl game for 4 years in a row. So.
Which he did in Nebraska, of course.
Paid off.
And then, of course, Kansas City Chiefs, where he made it incredible to me, though, his claim to fame. I think it's the NFL as an offensive lineman. 224 consecutive games, he never missed a start.
And think about it, every single play, he's in a fight with somebody on that offensive line. Think about that. I mean, you don't take a play off when you're on the line.
Yeah.
Also has done great things for Kansas City. He was an IBA Award recipient.
He sure was, that's right. Yeah.
And I spent a day with him in Kansas City. His cell phone rang, and it was "Lean on Me," and it was really fitting because the town did. I mean, he did so many charitable things in Kansas City. And
a guy who is out of state, but I guess we can accept it now. Bob Stoops going to the Hall of Fame.
He said he's an Okie. You know, he said, you know, it seemed like a lot of folks wanted to talk to him about his new venture coming up in the XFL. But Coach Stoops certainly has done wonders down at Oklahoma. You know, he inherited a tough program down at OU. And, you know, within 2 years, won a national championships, produced quite a few Heisman Trophy winners already.
Yeah. And again, quite a job there. And our final inductee, Mickey Tettleton, baseball, grew up in Oklahoma City, Southeast High School, right?
Southeast High School, went to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And you know what I didn't know until we had our luncheon, I didn't realize that he and Mike Moore played at the same time with the Detroit Tigers for a couple of years.
That's right, yeah.
So that was really neat, hearing those two fellows share stories, being on the same team at the same time. And now they're going in the Hall at the same time.
Went with the Cowboys 81 to the College World Series, which they should have won, by the way.
Yeah.
Got beat out by Arizona State in the last game there. The All-Star, he was the 1989 Major League Baseball All-Star, retired in the 1997 season. He won 3 Silver Slugger Awards. One of probably the best catchers of his era.
Best hitting catchers,
Yeah.
too. You know, one of the best, absolutely.
Let's talk about that when it all comes to fruition. August the 12th, Riverwind Casino, just outside Norman there. It's always a great gala evening, a great event.
It is, and you know, we actually sell it out every year, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it's a true testament to the folks that are being inducted. You know, there's certainly the people are coming out and paying to visit with these folks and paying to honor these folks. And it's nice when, you know, we have 650, 700 people coming out to celebrate our nominees, or our inductees, I should say, each year. So we're anticipating another sellout.
That'll be August the 12th, again at the Riverwind Casino in Norman. Before we let him get away, I know you appreciate the fact, Jimmy, too, that I thought it was great of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame to kind of move things around and stuff and say, hey, let's put Alan Trimble in last year.
Really a nice gesture, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, certainly well-deserved, too. And, Chris, you know, we talked about this earlier. I just would like to say that we have our quarterly leadership luncheons in Oklahoma City every quarter. We are doing, with the success we had with our TU Hall of Famers last year when we had Twilly, Rome, Pearson, and Largent in Oklahoma City, we're actually going to bring one of those luncheons up here to Tulsa this year. So we will be doing one of our quarterly leadership luncheons in Tulsa. So I'll keep you abreast on that and keep you posted.
We'll be back talking about that. Meanwhile, you can go to Jimmy's Egg in Tulsa, or certainly many around Oklahoma City, too. Enjoy Jimmy's Egg. Mike, thanks for making the trip as always.
Chris, thank you. Jimmy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Best to your daughter Olivia and the staff at the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I'll pass that along.
And come visit. No charge, no admission
We
charge.
don't charge
right
admission.
there at the Bricktown Ballpark, their new location. So get out and visit the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. More with Oklahoma Sports Scene when we return. They're here, they're new, they're Bricktown's Brick Twisted Foods. And listen to this lineup of some exciting new type foods at Bricktown Brewery restaurants. How about this? Pork green chili tachos. That's right, tachos. Homemade tater tots, top of pulled pork, green chili, cheese, bacon, cilantro, and top with a fried egg. Ooh, yeah. Hot fig and goat cheese dip as well. Also have their fried chickpea salad, protein salad bowl, steak and cheddar sandwich. All at Bricktown Brewery. Get and try the twisted food. Oklahoma Sports Scene wants to welcome our newest title sponsor, SNB Burger Joints, the home of fresh-made gourmet burgers and sliders, great sides, hand-dipped milkshakes, root beer and soda floats, and delicious homemade pies. All served with a fun and friendly staff, and we feature a full-service bar with over 65 beers and our unique Bloody Marys. SNB Burger Joint in the Oklahoma City area and coming soon to Tulsa.
March Madness. There's nothing like it. The road to the Final Four goes through Tulsa. The 2019 NCAA Men's Basketball first and second rounds, March 22nd and 24th at BOK Center in Tulsa.
Beautifully done. Deep splash. Feeling it today.
Visit ncaa.com/MBB tickets and get your seats today.
We're pleased to welcome into the Oklahoma Sports Scene set a guy who's an absolute legend at TU, the winningest softball coach in the school's history, John Bargfeldt. Coach, congratulations on just recently your 500th career victory.
Oh, thank you very much.
Does that mean you're old, Coach? What does that mean?
That's what I've been telling people. I must have been around for a while.
Give us some of your background, John. Now in your 14th season at the University of Tulsa.
Got into fast pitch softball as a player in men's fast pitch and played 20 years. And I met a young man that ended up being the head coach at Georgia Tech. So he called me up and said, hey, would you come down and help me out? I want somebody that I know, I can trust. And so he said, when you get down here, you're going to get the bug. And sure enough, it happened. And so I coached 1 year at Georgia Tech, went back to my school teaching job. I had a year leave from my school teaching job and started looking for head coaching jobs because I had a family. And I thought if I'm the guy making the decisions, I can kind of help out, you know, with family time.
Might have even been drafted by the Chicago Cubs, if I'm right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out of college, my junior year, signed with the Chicago Cubs, played 3 years of minor league baseball. Right.
He's never had a losing season. 13 winning seasons at the University of Tulsa, 6 regular season conference championships, 7 conference postseason tournament titles. He's won the last 3 American Athletic Conference titles. Congratulations, John. Great record. Great run in the athletic conference.
Thank you. You know, he had some good players. You know, had some good competitiveness out of them, passionate players. And what was nice is that first one we won, we had a core of 7 sophomores, underclassmen. You know, and so now they're seniors. And so they're used to knowing what it takes to win. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I have your number at 9 NCAA tournaments. Is that correct?
Or 10.
10.
Yes.
10. I know in basketball people get caught up, and that's the bar for success, is just making the tournament. Is the same true in softball, just making the tournament, or do you find that's not really that cut and dried?
No, I think so, because you know you're pretty much got to be a top 45 team in the country. And you know, in order to get into the tournament, unless you win your conference tournament. And so we've had a few at-large bids, and we're usually right there, somewhere between that 20 and 45, you know, over the years. And you know, so that gives you a couple of chances to get into that NCAA.
John, this has been a hotbed for softball. My gosh, what the University of Oklahoma program has done. Patty Gasso just going in the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame now, and Oklahoma State's always had a good, solid program. Great competition in the state.
There is, and you know, when I came here from Indiana, I'd never been in Tulsa, and it took me about 2 years to realize, you know what, I don't think we need to go out of the state very often, you know, for players.
Sure.
And you know, I started looking at the paper and seeing there are about 40 kids out of the state of Oklahoma signing Division I softball scholarships a year, and I thought, you know, a lot of those kids want to stay close to home, and so we really started, you know, really recruiting those kids out of the state heavily. We knew what Oklahoma was going after and Oklahoma State was going after, and we thought, well, heck, if we can get some of the best 10 kids in the state of Oklahoma, that's going to be awfully good.
I think you have maybe 8 on your roster this year, Oklahomans. Who are some of those Oklahomans we should know about on your team this year?
We have a freshman pitcher this year that's come in, and Shanice Dels, and she's actually leading us in innings and ERA, and heck, I even moved her up into the 4-hole this weekend. She's just one of those kids that has a lot of natural ability.
Where did she play high school ball?
She played at Carl Albert.
Okay. Yep.
And she won a couple of state championships. She actually, as a freshman, won a state champion at Choctaw as a pitcher, and then transferred to Carl Albert and won that last year as a senior.
Had a winning pitcher this past, just the other day down there at the Texas tournament there. Samantha, is it Pocop? Pocop, 11 strikeouts complete game, and also some really good hitting from Alexis Perry. Talk about those two players.
Yeah, Alexis Perry is another Oklahoma kid. Went to Nebraska for a couple of years and then transferred back to us, and we're awfully glad to have her. She's in the middle of our lineup playing a nice third base for us, just making some really nice plays. Samantha's actually out of Las Vegas, and she's probably leading our team in strikeouts. Has thrown a couple of shutouts for us. And you know, she has, after her freshman year last year, she's kind of learned, you know, how to spot the ball probably a little bit better. She's got great spin rate, and so she's got some good movement up and down.
Tougher to build or tougher to sustain excellence?
Well, you know, I was fortunate. When I got here, I felt like we had a pretty good nucleus. There were 5 seniors. You know, the one thing I worried about was, you know, I'm going to have to replace those 5. And I hit the recruiting trail before I even saw my team play one game, you know, or even met them. And so it was probably tough those first couple of years, you know, to get back to what that first team was able to give us. But you know, once it's happened, it's kind of been a situation where our older players act as mentors. And so it's kind of gotten easiest on us as a coaching staff. We used to feel like we were having to do everything, but now our players are doing such a fine job of mentoring the younger players.
John Bargfeldt, the head softball coach at the University of Tulsa. John, I've always been fascinated by the physiology of softball. How these girls can really spin this thing and throw so fast, so hard, yet it doesn't put near the strain on the arm. They can pitch the whole entire weekend.
Yeah, and that's happening less and less at the Division I level, and I think it's because so many good hitting coaches have gotten in. Right. And so you're starting to see even the big schools come up with pitching staffs. Oh. But it's not like baseball where you know you got 15 or something like that. It's usually 3 or 4, and we try to always go into a season with 4 on our staff, and then I just feel like that's a better way to prevent injuries. There's just so much pressure on every hitter in the lineup nowadays at the Division I level that it's tough to throw game after game after game. Yeah.
With talent being even among several prospects, what qualities do you look for and say, that one's a take, I want that one?
Well, being at University of Tulsa, we have to really look at the academic side and make sure that they can be successful in that realm. That's their most important thing coming in as a student athlete. But we try to, I had a little bit scouting experience for baseball, and so, kind of the 5-tool player, we're looking and grading each tool, in our minds, because the one hard thing to do is you just don't see them get to hit enough off of different pitchers. And so if you've got somebody that has a great arm and can run well, you got to feel like they're going to be successful in some areas of the game.
Golden Hurricane, 10-5 on the season, just finished with an 8-1 victory over Sam Houston State in the tournament down in Austin, Texas. And now, weather permitting, you got a big tournament coming this weekend at Tulsa. Talk about that tournament.
Yeah, we're actually sharing a tournament with Oklahoma State, and some teams are coming in like Illinois, Syracuse, Seattle, McNeese State. There's one more. Northern Iowa.
Right, Northern.
And they're coming in, and so 2 teams will go over to Stillwater, play them. And then the next day, those 2 will come to us, and then 2 teams start at our place, and then the next day they'll go over.
So March 8th, 9th, to Saturday, Sunday, is that right?
Right.
And the weather coach is?
Weather's a little shaky right now. We're hoping for that Oklahoma change in weather.
Exactly, it always happens that way.
Right.
Is that an unusual concept that 2 schools would host something like that?
It's unusual. Actually, we ran into one with Kennesaw State and Georgia Tech.
Huh.
And so, and I thought, well, we're only 70 miles apart, so why not? And a lot of people who fly in are going to fly into Tulsa anyway, even if they're going to Oklahoma State. So I pitched the idea to him, and he thought, well, okay, let's do that, because it's getting harder and harder to get 4 or 5 teams to come to one location.
Yeah.
Well, I was very proud to be there. The 9th TU basketball game just recently, one of their home games at halftime. They brought John out on the court and the entire TU softball team to honor him with a 500th award. They gave you the home plate with the 500 on it, right, Coach?
They did, yes.
Very nice. Well, congratulations again.
It was a special night, and it just reminds you of how blessed you feel to interact with some of those young people's lives.
Well, we have something for you. Jimmy's Egg. Enjoy breakfast or lunch anytime with them, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Coach. So take a break there during the tournament. Hope the weather holds for you this weekend.
All right. Thank you very much. All right.
John Bargfeldt, the legendary coach of the TU softball program, the winningest coach ever. And we'll be coming back with something brand new for all of us. Esports. It's here. It's close by at Rogers State University in Claremore. Stay with us. Well, Jimmy's Egg, of course, is the place to go for breakfast or lunch any time of the day, starting at 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. Jimmy's Egg, of course, with 3 locations in Tulsa, 22 company stores, 17 more in Oklahoma City. Want to be really cool, though? Go to the phone and get the Jimmy's app. Jimmy's app, you just pull up whatever you want. They have coupons, they have specials, they have the entire menu. You can order online as well. Jimmy's app with Jimmy's Egg. Can't beat it.
There is no limit to what we will do to help the next generation. As Oklahoma's only affiliate of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we are able to deliver state-of-the-art treatment and the most innovative clinical trials to kids with cancer and blood disorders. This is truly world-class care, right here at home. The St. Jude Affiliate Clinic at the Children's Hospital at St. Francis. Healthcare for life.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
We're back on Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Jimmy Zig and Jimmy Trammell, our co-host today, filling in for Gil Cloud and Jamie Haney, who are still rehabbing their surgeries. But Jimmy, I was caught interest with the new esports program, draws gamers to RSU, Rogers State University. This is the story in the Tulsa World. I got thinking about that and made some contact out there. And next, we have Dr. Brent Marsh, who's their Vice President of Student Affairs, along with the coach of the esports program, Blake Fisher. And I thought your story was fascinating and very unique for Rogers State University.
Well, it's 2019, and we live in an age when universities can have a video gaming team like a college has a football team or a basketball team. Yeah. So just for people who see esports and say, what the heck is that? What are esports?
Coach, esports.
All right, esports, it's electronic sports for short. So it's competitive gaming, and it's really growing in industries like all over the country, all over the world, but universities are kind of like starting to tap in it too as well now, because they're kind of like realizing, hey, like this is something that is growing quickly and there's a lot of students that have interest in it. And RSU here, we kind of, I guess this backstory would be,
you're the pioneers, right, Dr.
Yeah, we're really proud of that we were really the first university in the state to announce that we were launching an esports program, and so we were really excited about that. So the spring of 2018, hasn't even been a year ago, that the university administration, and really with a lot of initial momentum from our student body, they had formed a student organization in the fall of 2017 that really was centered around gaming, and that really helped us to realize there's a need here, there's an interest here at RSU, and so we decided, seeing the momentum that was happening nationally, that we wanted to get involved, and so made some really quick moves to identify a space on campus, secure the resources we needed to make that a reality. So by the fall of 2018, we opened our esports facility on campus, and students have been really flocking to it ever since.
Pretty sure aware of how facilities are big in football, basketball, baseball.
For recruiting, yeah.
You should see their facility for esports. It's amazing. They converted, will you tell the story of your facility?
Sure. You want me to take it?
Go ahead.
All right, so we actually had an old lecture hall in one of our buildings on campus, and it kind of has a arena type feeling to it, so we thought, hey, that'd be a great kind of conversion, and we went in and redid it all, and we have 18 gaming PCs within the facility, and 2 projector style monitors within the room so that we can display our competitions up on the projectors.
People can actually sit and watch as the people play the games on the video.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have that
arena
style.
It's 24/7, right? It's always open?
Yes, that's correct.
Amazing. Golly.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I never had thought much about e-gaming and stuff, so all of a sudden I realized our old network ESPN has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to own some of the rights to esports. It's amazing to see places like the Forum in Los Angeles or Madison Square Garden, and they're sold out, people sitting there, but they're watching people playing video games. It's amazing.
It is. I mean, I think the generation that's my generation and maybe others that sort of preceded this current one that's really into this in the way that they are, we wanted the controller. Like, I want to play the game. I don't really want to sit and watch. But I think maybe it's a generation's grown up watching a lot of videos, YouTube and everything else, and they've kind of gotten accustomed to watching others do things. And so watching others compete within that video game environment is very natural to them. But it's probably no different really than you or I sitting down wanting to watch a basketball game or a football game. That's just what many young people are now interested in.
Now, ideally, when you have athletics or anything else on campus, you want it to bring in more students. You found this to be true, right? That adding esports has actually attracted students to campus.
It has. We know, for instance, a student that you highlighted in your really good article. She was sort of losing interest in college, thinking about stopping out, and then realized that RSU was starting this program. It was a passion for her, and she decided to get involved and be a part of our program at RSU. We're really fortunate. Our admissions department has gotten very excited about this program as a new opportunity at the university, and so they basically end every campus tour with a stop in our esports facility, which gives the coach a chance when he's available to talk with them. I've even been in the room a few different times, and I get to greet those students, and many of them come in and are very excited to see what we're doing and what we have to offer.
Yeah, Rogers State's got a great reputation too nationally with technology. Great technology programs there, and I understand now you can actually offer a unique bachelor's degree option in game development, right, Coach?
Yes, we are working towards developing that program.
I mean, tell us about some of the games you can play. There's some games that I had made some notes on here. That I know much about
Chris
them.
played Space Invaders.
Yeah, what was that Pong thing?
Pong.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. But League of Legends, Overwatch, Hearthstone.
That is correct.
Rocket League. I mean, my 10-year-old grandson can't play any of these games. So, but some of the top games, the most popular games are being played there, right?
Yes, they're very popular right now, and they're more oriented around team-based competitions, so 5v5, 6v6, those kind of setups, so they just naturally work with competing within the esports realm. So.
And to sort of comment on that, what's really fascinating, and I think our teams will get more and more into this. I remember reading an article about another part of the country where there's already a pretty strong collegiate presence. And in fact, the athletic conference, it's a smaller division down in the southeast part of the country. But the idea is that these students, they can watch each other's game history, recorded game competitions on online, I guess through a network called Twitch. So they're recorded out there, and they actually go out. It's almost like doing a scouting report, watching game film, but you're just watching a prior recording of your opponent having competed, and you're taking notes on how they respond in different situations.
It's amazing where we're going. We're almost to the point, Chris, where they're going to offer scholarships to people who are the best at this, just like you would in football or basketball. Yeah, correct.
Right. Yep, and some universities are already doing that. We're certainly looking at that, thinking about a strategy to begin recruiting students with the possibility of awarding scholarships to join some of the different teams we have. So we're in the midst of that right now.
So, Coach, who do you compete against the Rogers State Hillcat team?
All right, so we compete against various teams all over the university. We're in a league called NACE, which is National Association of Collegiate Esports. They're kind of just all over the place. Right now, since we're the only one in Oklahoma, we're predominantly competing in teams out of Texas. We have Wichita has a pretty good facility up in Kansas. We went up to a LAN tournament up there actually a few weeks ago and competed. So they're actually moving to the point as well where there's LAN tournaments where you can actually go and compete. So that's really exciting.
And Dr. Marsh, I understand the rest of the universities and colleges in the state of Oklahoma have kind of taken notice of our issue.
They have. We've hosted a number of our peer institutions, some 2-year schools and 4-year schools both, that have come and wanted to see our facility. We've probably given at least 5 tours, I think, by now of different institutions in our vicinity that have wanted to come and see our facility, take notes, and try to go back and figure out how they might do something similar on their own campuses, or something that at least fit their culture and what their goals are.
And it's not just important to play a game. It's important to win, right?
Yeah.
Don't assume that they're in this just to have fun.
Yeah.
We're in this to win.
Right.
So tell me what the coach does at esports. Are you helping them with their gaming and giving them some tips on how to get better at these games, I assume?
That is part of it. Just overall, just organizing all team practices and keeping up with all the new prospect students and trying to hopefully eventually recruit new students if once scholarships hopefully come along eventually, and then just organizing LAN tournaments and stuff.
Well, proud of Rogers State University in Claremore for being the very first leading the way in esports technology. Here you go, Coach. And for you, Dr. Marsh.
Well, thank you.
Jimmy Zing invites you to join them for breakfast or lunch, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. How to fit that in your schedule there. Come and join that, and congratulations to the Hillcats. Give our best to Dr. Rice, the people there.
Will do. Thank you very much.
All right, back with more on Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Jimmy Zing, Esports. Wow.
Welcome to Jimmy's Egg. Come on in.
For more than 30 years, Jimmy's Egg has been starting people's day off right with hot, fresh, made-to-order food. Our eggs are fresh, cracked to order every time, and there are over 40,000 ways to craft your own omelet. With signature favorites like our meat lovers skillet or decadent cinnamon roll pancakes, you won't leave hungry. Breakfast and lunch is available every day from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., so stop in today and let our friendly staff serve you.
Stop by and see us sometime.
Oklahoma Sports Scene wants to welcome our newest title sponsor, SNB Burger Joints, the home of fresh-made gourmet burgers and sliders, great sides, hand-dipped milkshakes, root beer and soda floats, and delicious homemade pies. All served with a fun and friendly staff, and we feature a full-service bar with over 65 beers and our unique Bloody Marys. SNB Burger Joint in the Oklahoma City area and coming soon to Tulsa.
Each week we talk about the GTR, and we know for a fact that Forrest Cameron and his wife Sharon put out a tremendous paper. Well, I brought all 6 of them today. I'd like for you to see them. The Union Boundary, and here is the Owasso Rambler. And if you live in Bixby, how about the Bixby Breeze or Broken Arrow, the Broken Arrow Express, Jinx, District Gazette, and then of course the Tulsa Midtown. All of those, the GTR. If you haven't had an opportunity to read one, do it, and you'll be proud of it.
Robertson Tire has been locally owned and serving Tulsa for the past 50 years, but we're much more than a tire shop. We handle alignments, oil changes, brakes, and much more. For all our services, coupons, and location information, visit us online at robertsontire.com.
Well, another guest has come down the turnpike from Oklahoma City. They've got an Oklahoma Sports Scene show this week. It's our good friend Dale Dave, the track announcer and director of communications there at the racetrack. All right, the vacation's about over, Dale. Time to crank it up. Quarter horse, Appaloosa paint season. I've already hit the track at Remington.
Yeah, a little vacation, the holiday. We go into deep December for thoroughbred racing, then holidays are there, so everybody kind of takes a little time off, get back into it. And the horses have been back on the track now for almost a full month. Training races going on each and every week. The weather, knock on whatever this is made out of, has been good so far. And hopefully it will hold on for opening weekend when we get to March 8th.
And the season March 8th through June the 1st. And talk about post times, and as always, Remington Park, it's the best sports bargain anywhere.
Yeah, 50 race dates. We start at 6 p.m. Normal race schedules Thursday through Sunday, 6 o'clock Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, then 1:30 in the afternoon on Sundays.
I know you're interested in our friend Jimmy Trammell. There's some Trammell names all across the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. Jimmy, you're tied in with Barry Trammell, and
Barry at the Oklahoman is my first cousin,
right?
And Dale apparently knows the whole bunch, so we're just all getting acquainted off the air. And we know Richard Linehan, who you just mentioned,
right? Yeah, working at Remington now.
Richard Linehan is familiar to Tulsa readers because he worked at the Tulsa Tribune, Tulsa World. I'm sure has been a big asset for you as well.
Absolutely. Richard was in horse racing. He's always been a fan of horse racing for years and years and years. But aside from his newspaper work, he worked at Sam Houston Race Park for about 5-6 years back in the mid-late 1990s, back up here at Fair Meadows, Tulsa for years. And then that kind of went by the wayside for him, and he bounced around a little bit. Anyway, we had an opportunity. He had contacted me. We always stayed in touch from when he was traveling and visiting for the races. I said, hey, we have a position. Are you interested? I mean, before I could really hang up the phone almost, he was there in the office, and it's worked out great. Richard's a super talent, a great rider, absolutely loves the sport, great historian, and it's helped me personally immensely because it takes a little bit of load off my plate, and he is just all over it and does some TV work for us as well as handicapping. The one thing he won't do is announce for me. I tried to have a backup announcer situation with him, and he said, yeah, if I have to, I'll do it. Well, that have to situation came up. My wife got sick and I had to leave, and I showed him how things were, and he seemed fine, but you know, Richard is pretty laid back and calm. Evidently he was panicked on the inside, but luckily I hit the lottery in horse racing announcer terms. Jesse Eulery, who called races for years at Will Rogers, happened to be on the property when this emergency took place. We found out about that, and he aptly filled in for me for the night so I could get my wife to the hospital, and the doctor get her taken care of. Everything's fine all the way around, but he got stroke of luck. But so Richard won't announce anytime soon. We learned that night.
Well, you know, one thing I'm excited about, and I go all across the country. Of course, I've covered quarter horse racing since, gosh, 1978, I guess, and very proud of the fact that Remington Park, they don't say it, it backs it up, is the best quarter horse meet in America.
It's a 50-day season. A lot of quarter horse seasons don't run that long, and so we take the money accumulated for the quarter horse season and pack it into 3 months basically because of the revenues from simulcast wagering, the revenues from our casino operation. We run for about $250,000 a day for quarter horse season. Wow. That is unheard of money in that aspect of the sport. So the normal races run for big purses, and then of course the big stakes races are huge. We run the Oklahoma Futurity coming up in mid-March, late March actually, 78th running of the longest running, most historic race in quarter horse racing. That purse will be around $300,000. Then it just goes up from there. The Remington Park Futurity in late April is worth around $800,000 to $900,000. Then on the final day, June 1st, the $1 million Heritage Place Futurity. So top flight 2-year-old racing, great 3-year-old racing. Older horses have their share as well, and it's just a really super meet.
I was talking to Scott Wells, of course, their president, the main guy there at Remington Park. He said that day, June 1st, probably over $2.5 million in purses, an incredible stakes schedule.
Yeah, it's approaching 2.5. We run, I believe it's going to be 10 stakes races on a 12-race card. We'll start a little earlier that night at 5 o'clock. So if you want to circle the biggest night of our season, do it for June 1st. It's absolutely tremendous. You get $1 million race, you get a $250,000 race for older horses, the Remington Park Championship. A lot of those horses will move on to the Champion of Champions at the end of the year at Los Alamitos, which is the creme de la creme for older horses in quarter horse racing. The top paints and Appaloosas compete on that night as well, and the Speed Horse Grand Futurity. So much happening on June 1st. And, well, you know, we get the Triple Crown simulcast day sprinkled into this meet as well. Wow. With Kentucky Derby on May 4th, and everybody knows what that is. Well,
the paints are well represented. In fact, you'll have the all-time winningest paint horse running for you on the meet, right?
Yeah. Some of the reason for that is because the purses are so high at Remington. If you have a quality paint or quarter horse or even Appaloosa and they stay healthy, you want to keep them going for the Remington Park season. That's what's happened with Painted Turnpike. He's an Oklahoma bred. He's won more races in the quarter horse season than any other horse in Remington history during that season. 13. He's going to try to expand on that record as the season comes back into play for him. He'll have 3, maybe 4 starts tops for older paints. But here's the beautiful part. He's getting the best of all worlds. He's also a stallion. So when he's not racing at Remington Park, he's doing stallion duty. And there'll be, if he keeps on going, he may actually see his children on the racetrack against him the way he's going on, because I think he's going to be 7 coming up this year. But he is maybe 6, but he's a super talent. Painted Turnpike. If you get a chance to come see him, come out and be amazed.
Well, the best horses, the best purses attract the best riders, the best trainers. Talk about some of the stars that'll be there for the meet.
Well, James Flores, who's been an upcoming rider for a number of years, he finally broke through and won his first Remington Park jockey title last year. Some of that is because G.R. Carter, who's won the title, I think, something like 15 times in Remington, maybe more.
G.R. Get Rich Carter, right?
Get Rich Carter. Well, he says he's retiring, and he says he means it for sure this time. He tried it a couple of years ago. He made it about 9 months, and he couldn't stay away. But he did win the $2 million Los Alamitos Futurity at the end of the calendar year last year. And so far, that's been his last race, and I think he's thinking that's going to be a good one to wrap up. But James Flores broke through as a top jockey last year. Clint Crawford's been a leading trainer at Remington for years. There's other trainers now moving up through the ranks as well. And one trainer to watch out for, I'm going to have a keen eye for this guy, Ivan Carnero. He was the leading rider at Remington Park in 2016, 1 year after he won the All-American Futurity, the top race in horse race in 2015. Right? Well, unfortunately, he had an accident at the end of 2016, and he still has the ability to get on a horse, but he has decided after that accident, maybe I should move on to something else. He kind of got kicked in the underneath his ear and took a lot out of him. But he's still ambulatory, and he's got his wits about him, and everything's good. So,
and a young guy.
And he's only 27. He's a kid. Like, we can all say that since all of us are a little older than that up here. He's moved on into training, and I really hope he does well, because he's a great ambassador for the sport.
Jimmy, in our area, of course, Will Rogers Downs, their meet has been popular and given people some people to race at. And of course, we used to go race the old fairground. That's where Richard Lanahan used to run that thing too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wonder, is there anything that makes you feel, anything in the air or the environment that kind of gets you giddy, like it's here, it's time to go again?
When spring finally gets here, and we don't have the threat of 25-degree weather and ice and snow, which would seem like it's looming. We've dodged the bullet for the most part this winter. But when it finally gets here and everything starts to turn green, even though we're about 2 weeks into it, Oklahoma Futurity Night's really when, okay, the feeling's here. It's here. Even though we've been racing for almost 10 days, now you can feel the excitement. The weather's better, and we get to move into the bulk of our season. Then, of course, you start anticipating Kentucky Derby Day on May 4th, and it just steamrolls from there through the quarter horse season, then on into our thoroughbred season at the end of the year.
What year will this be now for Remington? We just had a big milestone, didn't we?
This will be Remington's 30th anniversary was a year ago, so we moved into year 31. We started in 1988.
So hard to believe.
It is, isn't it?
It's flown by. My years there have flown by as well. I started in 1993, and here it is. What is it now? 2019.
And I remember opening that track with Edward.
I thought I'd be there for a year, maybe, and I'm still
Edward
there.
DeBartolo Company. I remember opening that track with David Vance and Corey Johnson, those people there.
Still see Mr. Vance, as he was called. I thought for years his name was Mr. because I never heard his first name. That's what everybody called him. They have that much respect for him. But yeah, he comes around still, and I can go down and say hi to him at the Silks Restaurant on the bigger race days as well.
Well, give us the particulars again about the quarter horse paint and Appaloosa meet getting ready to start at Remington Park.
Yeah, we'll start off on March 8th, 6 o'clock Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, 1:30 p.m. on Sunday afternoons, racing through June 1st. Key dates on the calendar, the Kentucky Derby May 4th, we talked about that. April 28th, if you want something a little bit different, that's the extreme race day when we have the camels, the ostriches, and the zebras out. If you want to see something crazy, come watch a jockey try to hang on to an ostrich, because they let them get on their back, but as soon as they leave the starting gate, half of them start spinning around. It's a real adventure with who can stay on the back of these ostriches. But that's a really fun day. That's done for charity as well. Then the key Kentucky Derby Preakness Day, then the big wrap-up day on June 1st. Almost $2.5 million in total purses for the quarter horse season.
Dale, thanks for making the trip down the turnpike. Here's a Jimmy Zag gift certificate. If you enjoyed it, of course, Jimmy Zag, they have a number of restaurants here in the Oklahoma City area.
Absolutely. My kids will thank you, because every Saturday morning they wake me up, can we go to Jimmy's? And
that's time. 6 a.m.
yes,
to 2 p.m.
Of course we can.
Again, thanks for making the trip down. Give our best to Scott and the gang there.
Absolutely, we will.
Everybody there looking forward to a great season at Remington Park, and enjoy the quarter horse paint and Appaloosa meet, and then we're back to talk thoroughbred racing with them. We get closer to that towards the fall time. So again, racing ready to return at Remington Park. Jimmy and I will return tomorrow to wrap things up on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Welcome to Jimmy's Egg. Come on in.
For more than 30 years, Jimmy's Egg has been starting people's day off right with hot, fresh, made-to-order food. Our eggs are fresh, cracked to order every time, and there are over 40,000 ways to craft your own omelet. With signature favorites like our meat lovers skillet or decadent cinnamon roll pancakes, you won't leave hungry. Breakfast and lunch is available every day from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., so stop in today and let our friendly staff serve you.
Stop by and see us sometime.
Welcome to OKC's most unique casino experience. One moment you're surrounded by dazzling lights, jackpotting the latest and greatest machines in town, and the next moment, cheering home a winner in the greatest quarter horse racing show on earth. It's a truly unique 24/7 gaming experience. The only casino in the heart of OKC, and the only casino that can make your heart truly race. Don't miss opening weekend, March 8th through 10th, only at Remington Park.
Coming down the stretch here for our Oklahoma Sports Scene show, wrapping things up with Jimmy Trammell, our co-host, filling in for Gil Cloud and J.V. Haney for the show this week. Jimmy, I think before we leave, one thing I want to talk about, we were just chatting off camera here. When you talk about winning streaks in Oklahoma, one that jumps out, of course, the only one, the standard is 47.
47.
Football. I was just pointing out the men's gymnastics now.
Are they up to 109?
109 consecutive wins. Is that unbelievable? They just defeated number 3 Michigan this past week in the 109th consecutive victory for the Oklahoma men's gymnastics. And the women's also number 1 in the nation. They're now 13-0, won at West Virginia. And Jimmy, huge meet coming up on Sunday in Norman.
UCLA there, right?
UCLA is coming to Norman. And that's number 2 UCLA, who just edged out OU by, I think, less than a point in the national championship last year. It's a big grudge match, and I'll tell you who's taking notice. ESPN is going to televise OU UCLA gymnastics live nationally starting at noon on Sunday. That's going to be a heck of a match. Be good to see. By the way, coming up next week, a featured guest and also the return of Gil Cloud. That's right, the coach with his new right knee will be here to be a co-host with me. We'll have as our featured guest. We look forward to spring football. That's right, spring football is ready to start. Philip Montgomery, the head football coach at TU. And Jimmy, they need a good season coming up.
Yeah, I think they're due for one. They've been one of those teams where they've kind of played just good enough to lose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you figure if you play long enough, the odds go the other way at some point.
Another guy's going to join us from the University of Tulsa, and he does a great job. He's been there a long time, voice of the Golden Hurricane. Bruce Howard, the play-by-play guy, will be here as well with Coach Montgomery to talk all TU football and other TU sports. And interesting, I was telling you about this off camera again, Jimmy. A gentleman named Jay Smith. He has written a book, Prelude to Greatness, OU football player who played from 1994 to 1999. Uniqueness is he played for 4 different Sooner head coaches.
He played for Gibbs, for Blake, for Schnellenberger, and for
Stoops.
I think I got the order wrong, but it was all there.
Right. Also, to wrap things up, Henry Primo comes to the sports memorabilia. Your old friend, of course, Jimmy Trammell's here. Jimmy Trammell's here. Barry Lewis is coming to do his Oklahoma Prep Athlete and Coach of the Month. All coming up next on Oklahoma Sports Scene. Jimmy, again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
Here's your gift card. Enjoy Jimmy's Egg.
Appreciate it. It was named after me.
Jimmy's Egg and Jimmy Trammell. See you next time.